this person commented this morning, right? What's your email and what's the step to tamed him like that? My dog does the same thing. I have a Belgian Malinois. Do I just put the leash up like that? Okay, so I think he's basically in a nutshell. They're asking like, how do you work through this problem, right? So we've talked about food aggression a lot lately, and we'll kind of discuss the step-by-step approach with how we did this, right? So basically, food aggression, right? A lot of people look at too much like it's I think I've heard people like comment on our page before. Food aggression is a taking issue, not a giving issue kind of thing. I think it's a both issue, right? Yeah. It's a control over the resource issue as a whole. Now, here's my problem with looking at it too much like it's a taking issue, right? People don't focus enough on the giving side of things, and the dog gets themselves into this ridiculously jacked up state of mind before you even give them the bowl. You give them the bowl because they're already in a jacked up state of mind. Then they really like get themselves in there, get themselves all hyped up and stuff. And then the aggression that you see when they're actually displaying the food aggression issue is like 10 times worse than what you would think it would be. Oh, yeah. Right? Now, what do most people do to work through this? They're like, you got to teach the dog to wait for the food, right? Kind of. Yeah. Right? The problem is most people do the wait, sit, and put the bowl down. And the only reason why the dog is not going for the bowl, if they're even successful in getting the dog to do that, is the fact that they're in a sit. If they weren't in a sit, they'd be all over that freaking food. They still view that food as theirs in that moment and stuff like that. Yep. This is the one issue that I get a little fucking like Caesar-esque on, right? As far as the state of mind. You know what I mean? Yeah. I really do think that there is something to be said about with toys and with food that there is a claiming of the resource mentality to this, right? I need for the dog to see in their mind that that food or that toy is mine until I give it to them, right? Now, if something is mine, I shouldn't need to use obedience commands to get the dog to not go for them. The dog should just understand that ain't yours. Yeah. Right? So what do? Right? I got to make a new video of this one day because, you know, I get so many people that ask me about feeding routines and like how I manage a multi-dog household with it, how I avoid resource guarding issues, this, that, whatever. So as I'm feeding, I don't use any commands for my dogs, period, right? I walk downstairs into my little dog area, right? I got all the bowls laid out, and I just start scooping food and plopping it on the ground, and I don't even need to like look at, they just know it ain't yours right now, right? Now, how did I get there? Got there by just correcting them if they tried to go for it before I told them to, right? Scoop the food, put it down, you go for it. No, big correction. Yeah. Right? Setting that tone, claiming that bowl. This is mine right now. It's not yours. In a lot of cases, if you look at a lot of clients, right, when you first go to give them food, right, the dog is just so uncontrollable. They're so uncontrollable. They're jumping all over the place. They're jumping all over the table that you're trying to like prep the food on and this and that, right? And the owner's just trying to get them to sit over there instead of just tell the dog not to do that. You need to claim that space and that resource as yours in that moment, right? And the dog needs to understand consequences right there. So as soon as you do that, right, you've set the tone. This is mine right now. You can't have it. You've de-escalated the state of mind. And in a lot of cases, the dog will wind up sitting or downing on their own, right? Because they know it ain't mine right now, right? From there, I give them the resource, right? Now, what is the next common thing that we'll see people do, right? They give them the resource, right? And as soon as they give them the resource, the owner goes and like fucks off and does something else, right? So basically, they give the resource and then they leave, and the dog realizes, I took this thing and the owner went away, meaning this is mine now, right? So what happens then is you're gone, and then you go to reapproach, and the dog's like, hey, why are you coming into my space while I have this resource, making them, again, more likely to then guard that resource, right? So what do? I put the bowl down. I make sure the dog doesn't go for it. I release them for the food, and I stay right there with them. Right? And what you'll see is, interestingly enough, in some cases, if you don't move away and you tell them okay to go get that food, if you have a resource guarder, that dog will be like hesitant to go to the food because they don't feel comfortable with you present around the food because they're typically used to like pushing you away to get the food, right? So you just hang out there. And then eventually the dog starts eating, and then they start realizing, like we talked about the crate aggression issue, nothing bad happened. I'm not messing with you. Yep. Don't fucking pet the dog. Don't try to put your hand in the bowl or anything. Like, don't ever do that with the dogs. No, it's not necessary, right? So you hang out with them, right? And then when they finish, If they're still licking the bowl and stuff, you let them do it. And you let them interact with it and stuff like that.
Yep.
And you wait until the dog disengages from the food, and then you take the food bowl from them. And that is, in a nutshell, how we work through this problem.
Yeah.